All right, good evening. Welcome to day 17 of 30 Letters in 30 Days. As has become our custom, we're going to give a little tzedakah first. I'm using the Koil Chabad Pushka app for fun and excitement. Okay. You can download the Koil Chabad Pushka app. We put the link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes life easier for you. You'll know every time we go live. Also, it'll help me get more subscriptions. I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, so you could help me out with that. Okay, without further ado, I made a bracha earlier, l'chaim. Here's our letter. Baruch Hashem, Yud Sivan Tavshin Yudal, Brooklyn, Bracha V'Shalom. This is from the 10th day of the month of Sivan, summer of 1954. Blessings and greetings. This is to a woman. And what do I know about her? Well, what I'm able to figure out is she's serious about a young man, and they would like to get married. And that's really what the whole letter is about. Let's proceed. Kabalti michtava, I received your letter, by Kesevis, in which you write, Mashenemer la b'shmi, what you were told in my name. Meaning, somebody told this young lady something that the Rebbe had said, and it's about the prospective match. Va'ina al zeh asher yesh pratim and you said in your letter to me that there are things that you agree with and things that you don't agree with. And therefore it would just be coercion. All right, I'm going to try to fill this in from what is apparent here. The young lady appears not to have come to a place of full commitment to a Jewish home as dictated by halacha. There are some aspects that she's comfortable with, some aspects she's not comfortable with. I don't know what kind of a background she comes from. Something tells me that she comes from a Torah observant home. But she's not fully committed to all aspects of Torah observance in the home that she's going to be building in her married life. So somebody conveyed to her that they spoke to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe outlined what it requires to have a Jewish home. And she wrote back to the Rebbe and said, this is what these people told me that the Rebbe said, and I can agree with some of it, and some of it I don't agree. And if I would have to do it, it would be kfiyah, it would be coercion. Meaning, if that's what you want me to do, you know, I could force myself, but just so you know, I don't agree with this. Okay, it seems like the boys' level of Yiddishkeit is much stronger, and there's sort of an incompatibility, a religious or spiritual incompatibility issue here, and there's also the issue with the girl basically not really wanting to grow. I'm gathering all of that from the letter, which you'll see, and if you disagree with my assessment, that's fine. You'll let me know. Vihine, okay. Kol gisha zu eina nechina umasamis. This whole approach, it's not right, and it's not appropriate. Ke Shinigoshim lahaschil seder chayim, when you're trying to start up a new life. So the Rebbe is correcting her entire premise. Like, your whole approach right now is not conducive to beginning a successful married life. Vare, baruch shekol echad reitze shiyu chayim mu'usharim. It's obvious that everybody wants to have a happy life. Va'oisha b'chayim tolui ba'eichus v'kamos dafka b'melech malchei amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And a happy life depends both, it's an interesting expression, be'echus of akamos, qualitatively and quantitatively. So a happy life depends on, specifically, exclusively, on the King of all kings, the Holy One, blessed be He. The question is not what does the person want and what does he not want. But rather, but rather, it's about understanding the what and the whom the happiness depends upon, meaning Hashem, and under what conditions one can hope for true happiness. In other words, the Rebbe is saying, I'm trying to help you out here. You want to start a new life. You want to get married, set up a home. You want to be successful. You want to have a happy life. Your whole attitude of picking and choosing, of deciding, well, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, which, by the way, it's fine to be honest and say there are things that appeal to me and things that don't appeal to me, things that are harder for me, things that are easier for me. That's fine to make that as a statement. But then to take your opinion of it and to say, well, I'm going to follow my opinion. So if I don't like it or if it doesn't speak to me or I'm not feeling it, so I'll pass. That's not the approach. Trying to curate a life based on personal preferences, ironically, does not lead to fulfillment, but rather making a commitment to doing what Hashem wants completely, whether it's things that you like, things that you don't like, and somewhere in between. That's the key to true happiness. V'amarti le ... Now, I told so-and-so, some male, I don't know who it is, Kishahoya Khan, when he was here. Yeah, and it might be the guy who she is looking to marry. It may be one of his relatives. It may be one of her relatives. I'm not really sure. But I told so-and-so when he was here, that a person's wife can either be an Ezer or a Kenegdai, right? In the Torah, when it talks about Chava being made as a wife for Adam, so it describes her as Ezer Kenegdai. Ezer means a help, Kenegdai means opposite, a help opposite. So, like Rashi says, she could be an Ezer, she could be a help, or Kenegdai, she could be an opposite. An opposite means an antagonist. So she can help her husband and give him a much greater life than he could have on his own, or she could be an antagonistic force in his life and undermine his life, God forbid, and give him a much worse life. That's the power of the woman. Although it's really hard to know ahead of time with 100% certainty, how the relationship's going to be for decades to come, right? It's very hard to predict that. A crucial aspect to consider is the relationship between the young couple, how they consider each other's perspectives before marriage. Okay? So it's really hard to know, to predict ahead of time what the relationship is going to be like as it unfolds over decades. But a good indication is to look at how they are now, before they get married, and how they regard each other's hashkafas, how they regard each other's worldviews. V'olav levarer azeh v'chein al kol echad v'achas shereitze levoi b'bris hanesuyin ad kama she'efsher. And therefore, this is something that needs to be clarified by you or anybody else who wants to get married as much as possible. In other words, really important to speak about values and the compatibility of your values and having some type of mutual understanding and mutual respect for each other's values. So it's not just about liking each other, being socially compatible, attraction. These things are important. Obviously, these are things that we consider. I'm not discounting them. But what I'm saying is that Rebbe is pointing out to her, you really need to make sure you're on the same page as far as values. Because it seems here that for whatever reason, she's decided she likes this guy. She wants to get married to him. But he's looking for a very different life than what she is looking for in terms of values. And the Rebbe is saying that's going to present a problem, not just a Yiddishkeit problem, but a happiness problem. That's going to make it very unlikely to have a successful relationship. Okay. V'nageh elav hu shaloi yalim imenu davar oidis hashkafase ata ala chaim. Now, regarding him, I told him basically he shouldn't conceal anything from you about his hashkafa, about his worldview, about the way he views life. V'yishlo leimerloi hachlatasa barer mahi yachsa el hashkafase, and I told him he should tell you straight up what his hashkafa is, what his ideology is, and find out how you feel about it. Right? There's no point here just sort of agreeing and making nice and pretending everyone's on the same page, because the Rebbe is saying, I think you're in for a surprise. Like, this is not what he really believes. Maybe what he's telling you or leading you to believe is based on his desire to please you, or to, not make waves, to let things sort of move along and progress along towards marriage. But there's some real values in incompatibility over here. So I told him, tell you the truth and get your reaction, your honest reaction. Ve'im tisnai hi kanal b'michtova shetisader es chaya masim l'retzaynoi seha mibli hischashev im daito shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'eroisav asher nosen l'chol echad v'achas me'am Yisrael tzarech li'izbainin heitiv hadek b'shailos hanesuyin v'hashidich b'klalusam. If you are going to go ahead, like you wrote in your letter, you already told me in your letter this is your intention. You said it very clearly, to conduct your life according to your own desires and not to consider Hashem's commandments, which he gave to every Jewish individual, man and woman. Well, if that's your attitude moving forward, you need to very carefully consider the whole question of marriage, not just this shidduch, not just, well, maybe this guy's too frum for you. Like, you need to stop and consider whether you're ready for marriage at all if your attitude toward life right now is based on catering to your personal preferences and not considering what the right thing, the objectively moral thing, as dictated by Hashem's holy commandments, has informed us. So, I wouldn't call this like a harsh tone, but it's very blunt. It's very direct. Yeah, it is very direct. The Rebbe knows his customers. He knows who he's speaking to. He also understands the situation. So, for this person at this time, apparently the direct approach was required. I know some of us are reading this, myself included, and being like, I'm having secondhand, like, it's beyond cringe. It's like secondhand, like, I'm having anxiety here reading this because I'm imagining what I have done to write a letter to the Rebbe that would have garnered that kind of response. And it's like, I would obviously be a little ashamed of myself, right? Yeah. So, but I don't want this to be triggering for anybody. I don't want it to be anxiety inducing. But yeah, the Rebbe is telling her as it is, like, the attitude which you have disclosed to me. She wrote it very clear. Apparently, she wrote it very clearly to him in the letter that, like, look, here's what I'm okay with. Here's what I'm not okay with. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm not going to do. If they try to force me to do anything that I don't want to do, yeah, they could force me, but I don't really want to do it. And the Rebbe is saying, I hear you, but do you understand how unlikely it is to have a successful life if you persist with that attitude? V'kevin shedat since so and so redacted, nameless, rotza ledas daiti bezeh v'gam haskamosi I think it means the young man that she wants to marry. That's probably what it is. He wants to know my opinion. He wants my haskama. He wants my agreement. Okay? So this boy you want to marry is coming to me and asking me to sign off on this shidduch. And also he wants my bracha. He wants me to give a bracha for the shidduch. Hare ani mitzidi yachol lahaskim belev of shalem kisharaya ani hamaksimum hoefshari letikva shechayem yu musharim. I'm ready to sign off on this. I'm ready to agree to this with a full heart, belev of shalem, with a full heart. When I see, it's interesting that it doesn't say if I see, but when I see the maximum possible hope that they will have a happy life. Like, no, I am not going to sign off on something that I think is not going to work out well for you. No, I'm not going to just go along with this when I think it's going to make you both unhappy. Remember, the Rebbe sets up the premise from the beginning. We all want a happy life. We all want a happy life. What's a happy life? Ironically, counterintuitively, a happy life is not what you think it is, to try to curate all your preferences and all the things you like and what you're comfortable with and to avoid anything that you don't like. That's a happy life. No, actually, that's not how reality works. A happy life is to live in alignment with the will of the Creator. The Rebbe says in many places that what does it mean what the Zohar says? Istako ba'araiso bara alma. Hashem looked into the Torah and created the world. The Rebbe used the English word blueprint. The Torah is the blueprint for the world. And what that means is the world was created based on Torah. It's not that there's a world and it exists already and now we need rules. Comes Torah and gives us some rules how to live in the world. No. Torah exists before, and then the world is created as a forum within which Torah can become expressed on a physical level. And if that is so, then it's impossible that the realities of the physical world would be in conflict with their very design as embodied in Torah. So don't tell me that I have to choose between Torah observance and a happy life. That's a false dichotomy. You find this in many letters of the Rebbe. It's not true. Like a person who would, for instance, say, I have to either keep Shabbos or make money. Now, some people would say, yeah, be Meiser Nefesh. You're right. You're going to have to make a choice, money or Shabbos. If you be a good Jew, choose Shabbos. The Rebbe won't say that. The Rebbe will say, what are you talking about? Shabbos is the tzinner for the parnos. I mean, I've seen letters like this. Or I've seen other letters about a beard where someone will say, if I have a beard, I won't get a good shidduch, because in those days, the girls thought it was weird. We saw letters like this from the 50s where it was considered radical or wild or whatever. And the Rebbe wrote, I've seen letters where the Rebbe will say, no, you don't get it. The beard will bring the best shidduch. And many, many examples like this where you think I have to decide between doing what Hashem wants or having a good life. And the Rebbe is saying, no, it's not this or that. It's this and that, because when you do what Hashem wants, you are following the reasons for which the world was created in the first place, and then obviously it's going to work out better. Now, are there nisyones? Does it sometimes occur a person does the right thing and he has challenges from at the beginning? Yeah, of course that happens. And we have Bechira Chovshis, and there's a Yetzer Hara, and there's all types of things that make it that it's not always a smooth, linear path. But ultimately, in the long term, and if you're talking about marriage and setting up a life, and you're talking about a long-term plan, when you build your life based on Hashem's plans, on Hashem's preferences, not your preferences, that's going to be a successful, happy life. Okay. So the Rebbe says, I will not sign off on your misery, basically, in so many words. I'm only going to sign off on this and give a bracha with a full heart when I see the maximum possibility for happiness. V'zeu toli b'zeh sheyisadru es chayim al yisodei ha'Torah v'ha'mitzvah k'fi shehem amurim b'shulchan aruch v'lo k'fi pirushay shel kol echad v'achas shel afaret pleni maskim hu shel prat pleni maskim hu ula prat machedim ein maskim. Right. And when is a happy life possible? Only when they set up their life based on, and this is, by the way, the language of the Rebbe's letter that is a blessing of Mazel Tov to a chassan and kala when a bride and groom are engaged and they set their date for their wedding. And this is the letter that's read at every chuppah. And by the way, last week I was at a chuppah. I'm in the year right now for my mourning for my father, Olav Shalom Hakam. So I don't go to weddings, but I can go to chuppahs. And Baruch Hashem, I read a letter at a chuppah last week, and so Mazel Tov. Yeah, should I reveal this? I don't know if I should reveal this. You know, the officially, like, what's considered a big kibbud by the chuppah. You know, the Shabbat brachas, bracha achrita, the last of the Shabbat brachas. You know, that's considered the big kibbud. Baruch Hashem, I don't think anybody realizes the biggest kibbud is reading the Rebbe's letter. So, if anybody ever gives me an opportunity to read the Rebbe's letter at a chuppah, unless it's impossible, that's basically an offer that I cannot resist. The biggest kibbud. But Baruch Hashem, most people don't realize that. They think the bracha achrita is the biggest kibbud, but we'll let them keep thinking that. Okay, at any rate, in the Rebbe's, the nusach, the formula, the words that the Rebbe uses to bless chassan and kala when they get engaged, so it's exactly these words, which is, I don't know if I'm making stuff up here, but, you know, I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit of hope over here, because the Rebbe said he's ready to give a bracha belev of shalom with a full heart, kisheraya, when I see the maximum possibility for happiness. And it's almost like the Rebbe is saying, like, I have your letter ready. It's like, I don't know, I'm making this up, but it's the nusach of the bracha that the Rebbe gives to a chassan and kala. The Rebbe is not giving them that bracha, but he's saying you should, in the nusach of the bracha, the Rebbe blesses the couple that they should set up their home al yiseda Torah mitzvos. Over here, the Rebbe is saying it as a statement. When you'll set it up, according to this is what will make it the maximum possibility for success. At any rate, it seems almost like it's it's like the check is filled out. I got the amount. I've got the date. I just got to sign it. You know, when you're ready to do what you got to do, I'm ready to sign the check. That's how I took it. Whatever. Who knows if I'm making it up? But it gave me a little tingle to read those words. Very special words. It just reminds me of the Rebbe's letter at the chuppah. Yeah. Al Yesodeh Torah mitzvah. Now, it says it a little bit different, because here's the Rebbe says, Kafi shehem amurim b'Shulchan Aruch, the way that they're stated in Shulchan Aruch. And in the nusach of the bracha, it says, Kafi shehem muva'arim b'Torah HaChassidus. B'ma'ir shel b'Torah zuhi Torah HaChassidus. I guess maybe here the Rebbe didn't want to say Torah HaChassidus. The Rebbe kept it more basic, like Shulchan Aruch. Okay, can we just conduct according to halacha? And I read this already. And not according to the way that a person will say, this detail I'm okay with, and that detail I'm not okay with. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu Eimer, Shalicha b'drachav asher hayra mafticha chayim bivracha v'atzlacha. Because the Eibishter promises that if you follow the ways that he's instructed, that's what guarantees a good life, bracha and hatzlacha, blessing and success. Mashen ke not so, halicha bedracha machedim. If you follow any other path, you're not guaranteed success. Ve'eneni yachol lekabel al atzmi achrayis. Very powerful. The Rebbe says, I'm not able to accept upon myself the responsibility. So powerful. Die Shtatvus be'inyan kazeh, to be a participant in something like this, keshe echad metzdadim, nogish l'chol hadavar she'einu reitze ve'einu mavtiach ve'koifem eisei heiv b'chdaitei chuluch v'chulu, where one side is saying that they don't want and cannot guarantee what they're going to be doing, and that if they have to make such a promise, it would be forced. It would be against their will. So the Rebbe was like, I can't do that. I can't be part of that. Like, it's not a formula for success. I don't want to be. I don't want to be involved in this. I can't. I cannot be involved in this. So powerful. So powerful. Now we get more specific about one of the issues she was objecting to. Now, if someone claims that they cannot compromise on certain issues, like covering their hair, whether with a tichel or with a wig, like the Rebbe is not demanding any specific way of covering the hair, but just covering the hair. Just ve'ein nafkamina loy im al yedei zeh misaken es ashroi v'ashat tzad sheni b'chayim hamshutofim asirius b'shonim. And it doesn't make a difference to this person, even if it means jeopardizing their happiness and the happiness of their life partner for decades. Like, that was kind of calling her attention to how cold that is. Like, you're not ready to do something. I get that you don't want to do it. I get that it's not easy for you, but you're not ready to do something that by not doing this, you're compromising, you're jeopardizing, you're putting at risk your success and happiness in life, and your life partner, this person that you supposedly care for. Wow. Person like that lacks a sense of responsibility and an appreciation for what it means to share a life and how it's worth giving up on even more important things for having a united and happy life. Like, do you understand that it's not just about the covering the hair? It's like, this is indicative of an overall attitude that you're showing a lack of understanding for what it means to live a shared life and to make sacrifices for each other, to be selfless. The canal, as explained above. And that is only possible. A happy life is only possible for a Jewish person, a Jewish couple, through Torah and mitzvahs. Very, very, unequivocal. You want a happy life? This is the formula. There's no way around it. This is what it is. Vashem Yisborach yizke lahakir es darka b'chayim ulachlit l'toiv lo b'toiv ha'amiti. Shua toiv hein begashmis v'hein beruchnis. I love it. Such a beautiful bracha. May Hashem, the Rebbe took her to task a little bit over here, but the Rebbe ends with a bracha, and it's a beautiful bracha. May Hashem grant you the wisdom to recognize the right way in life and to make a decision that's good for you. See, the Rebbe's, again, it's like, I want you to be happy. I want you to be successful. I want you to have a good life. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm trying to help you here. So to make a decision, l'toiv la, what's good for her. But by good, toiv ha'amiti, true good. And what is that? True good is hein begashmias, hein beruchnias. I'm not telling you to have the spiritual instead of the material. Again, this is what I was saying before. It's a false dichotomy to say, I have to follow Torah or have a good life. No. That's how you have a good life, is following Torah. So true good means gashmias and ruchnias, material and spiritual. And the truth is, you cannot have one without the other. And I think that it means it both directions, meaning you can't have good material success without doing things in the spiritually correct way. But I also think that it means it the other way, which is, and by the way, you can't do things spiritually correctly if you don't also have a healthy material life, a healthy material life, not an indulgent material life, but meaning Rebbe wants that Jewish families should have a nice home and have nice things and live comfortably. Like that, the Gashmias is very important. That's Dira B'Tachtenim. So you have to have both. Bivracha with blessing, B'Shem Kvit Shabna Shlita, Mazkir, signed by the secretary. Very, very, very powerful letter. Very clear, very, very clear message. And this should be a guide to all of us who are getting married, who are married, who want to stay married, and to have a successful, happy life.